Yes, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. Episode 30 of the Blue Balls podcast. And we've made it to another cup final. Does feel a little bit like Chelsea, only just a little bit in terms of the way we handled that Middlesbrough second leg. In terms of the fact that we are through to another domestic cup final, it is, I think we're still we still have the most domestic cup final appearances this century. So at least we're keeping something ticking from the old regime. Let's just try and win one of these cup finals again. The one thing we need to do is break this Wembley curse, because that's the last thing we need to do right now. We've lost about 4-5 finals on the bounce. I think it's 3 or 4 FA Cups, and 5. 3-4 FA Cups, 1 League Cup. Let's try and break it this time. I do not want to be losing at Wembley to Liverpool for the 3rd time in a row. I don't care about Jurgen Klopp. I don't care about the sad story and the farewell and all of that crap. He needs to be leaving in tears, and he needs to be leaving trophyless, like he spent most of his time at Liverpool. But big up everybody in general, rant aside. It is good to be back after a bit of a better run in form, I think. Like, since the last pod, we had that awful Middlesbrough game. But since then, we've been unbeaten. I think only the Middlesbrough game has really been convincing, the second leg. But I'm sure we'll delve into all of it as well. Hit the like button, subscribe, all of that. And yeah, it's good to be back. First off, Dan, making your debut on the pod. Big up, my guy. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, mate. Happy to be here. Glad to be on the podcast. And yeah, 100% right. Better form has been a recent showing for sure.
Big facts, man. Big facts. Again, everyone sub to everybody's channels, everybody's Twitters. Link is in the description. And if you can't find it, it's literally just a name on the bottom left. Big up, Kev. Welcome back to the show. Hope everything's good, bro. It's good to chat again.
Good to chat again, bro. Good to see you. Nice to see man are hating. So make sure you add up Lewis and pay for those pictures, yeah? £20. He's giving you a penny of £20, so 19.99 for the pictures for all the haters. But yeah, man, bit of better form. I'm not getting carried away though, man. Like, everyone's getting gassed. We beat Middlesbrough 6-1 and all this shit. Like, yo, we should be beating these teams 6-1, 7-1 anyway. Like Preston, all these teams, winnable teams. Just go on. If we go and beat Liverpool, go and beat Villa in the return replay, I want to see us go on a consistent run, beating big clubs. All these teams that we've been beating, the teams that we expected to win anyway. So let's just see what it's like over the next week or so.
Facts. And last but not least, Ches, big up, my guy. Good to have you back on the show. Hope everything's been good. And let me know as well, because we'll start off with you. What's your thoughts been on Chelsea over the last few weeks? Have we actually turned the corner? Or do you think we're finally just beating teams that we're expected to beat?
Yeah, man. Big up everyone on the panel. Dan, Lewis, Kev, as always. Don't forget to subscribe to all the mandem as well. Subscribe to the channel. My new channel's in the description as well. But yeah, man. Do tell what Kev's saying. Like, if you're a Chelsea fan and you're rational and you have higher standards, like most of us on the panel do, right? You don't look at these past few results and get overly gassed. You see it as a sort of like substandard prior to 2 years ago, you would say, where we would be going through in FA Cups and Carabao Cups quite easily, no matter how we were doing in the league, where we're 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 2nd in some cases, like 2017, we were pushing the title at first. So I'm not going to use these past few runs and go, yeah, I'm bored of losing against big teams all the time. I don't know about you, man. I'm bored of it. Like, it's getting on my nerves. Every single time we're a big team, the maximum we get is a draw. Why is that the case? Why can't we go and, I'm not saying beat Liverpool 3-0 or 6-1 away from home, but at the same time, it's like, at what point do we have to turn the corner and be like, yo, I know you man are young, but at the same time, I trust your quality. You're playing well at the moment to a decent level. Let's beat Villa away. Let's go and beat Liverpool where we need to get the 3 points. If we beat Liverpool now, in this Premier League game, we come on Wednesday, that's a massive booster. Like, we could push all the way up to 6th. Now we're not even that far off top 4. So that's the level it should be at. It shouldn't be, like getting too gassed over. Who we beaten recently? I think Preston, Middlesbrough, Palace at home. What are we doing? Are we really going to sit here and go, Fulham, like...
Come
These
on,
are teams. Newcastle on penalties, which wasn't convincing at all.
Bro, the penalty as well. Like, so Poch isn't like got away with nothing for me. I know we're gonna touch on Poch in yourself, but for me, he hasn't got away with nothing. He's still under the lights. And our next few games are against, you could call it respectable opposition, where they're competitive or competing with us for certain things, like Carabao Cup final or Europa League places and stuff. That this next 5-6 games will tell me a lot. I don't know what you man think about what I just said, but the next 5-6 games will tell me more than the previous 5-6 games because the level goes up.
Yeah, you get more of a variation of opponents because we've got Villa coming up, we've got Liverpool, which will be difficult opposition. You got Wolves and Crystal Palace, which you should be getting results in. Then you go to the Etihad, and then you've got the Carabao Cup final after that. So you've got a good variation of fixtures. So hopefully, if we can perform better against the bigger teams, that would be nice. But we need to get results against them too. Like we've only really beaten Tottenham and it took 75 minutes to break down that 9-man team. Arsenal, we bottled it. Liverpool, I mean, for the most part, that was a positive performance because we didn't have. I think we had like one fit first team midfielder for that game. And that was a mess for Liverpool. Both of us were waiting for DMs to come through. United game, we already know, atrocious. Newcastle, atrocious. So we do need to try and pull up a big result against one of these bigger teams. But it's Liverpool and Man City next, twice. Yeah. That's been a draw the last 8 or 9 times that we've played each other.
7.
And I think if I look at it logically, I don't see a draw. I see us losing this one.
Right, I was about to say the same thing. I didn't want to say it.
I don't know with us. It's so hard to predict.
But Lewis, I didn't want to be that guy and say, people say, don't be negative. But I actually want to be honest. How are we supposed to, on their first Premier League home game back, at least draw or beat them? I can't see it. I just can't see it. The fans are going to be raucous. The banners are going to be out. Shout out my headline, The Rise of Chelsea, fall of Liverpool, because we need them to fall. Because we need to beat them in the final. We need to use this game as like a, what do you call it? Like a
dress rehearsal.
Yeah, like a dress rehearsal. Yep. Exactly. And the best way
this will be the easier one with no Salah.
You can see it. Just touching up what you said though, Ches. Yeah, you can see it. If anyone watched the game today against Norwich, you could see at the start of the game that the passion and the emotions were going through the club at the moment. And what I said earlier, why has he come out now and saying he's going to leave now all of a sudden? Like, it's just weird timing. I'll come up with a bit of an idea about it. You could be just what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? A bit of a
motivation.
Not motivation.
That's like what I think.
A stunt. What's it called? A PR
stunt.
Yeah, a PR stunt. PR stunt just to get. Let's think about it. If he says he's leaving now in the money end of the season, just think about the motivation. The players are going to want to win for him, aren't they? Let's think about what I'm going to say.
That's why he's done it, man. That's why he's done it. 100%.
That's why he's done it. He's done it. He said he knew he wanted to leave probably at the start of the season, but he could have brought the news at the end of the season. But he's done it now just to boost the players even more. So now they're going to be gives them extra motivation to crack on and win the trophy for him because it's his last season. So it's a massive PR stunt, if you ask me. Well,
mate, it'll be all about Liverpool for the rest of the season, man. For like neutrals and pundits, like it's going to be all about Klopp, all about Liverpool for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Him leaving will make them favourites, like with the press, Sky, and everything.
That's why we can't lose the final. Forget the fact we've lost. That'll be 6 finals in a row at Wembley. If we lose, the narrative we're going to hear is going to be ridiculous. It's embarrassing. And what pisses me off, it'll be our club that'll be in the mud even more because we're the ones who could have beat them in the final. That's what we can't lose. We actually can't lose.
We're going in there. We're not the primary or the secondary.
I don't really care. Like, if we lose in the Prem, like, I'm pissed, but I'm not going to be like derailment settings. But if we lose the final, I'll just give up. I can't lie. Like, I'll just be like, you know what?
The final.
It feels like that's our season. It's our only realistic trophy.
Huh?
That's the thing. It feels like there's so much riding on this Carabao Cup because it's the only realistic trophy we've got. I don't even know if we get through Villa. There'll be a different team at Villa Park.
Yeah, they will.
Hopefully, we can get.
They'll play the same team literally because that's the team they've played for the last time in the games. They're playing that five in midfield, didn't they? They're playing Tillemans and Kamara, Louise. And McGinn, all
they got an extra day's rest before that one as well because they play Saturday, we play Sunday.
Yeah, and they'll play the same team, but obviously they've got the whole team, they've got the home fans behind them, which is massive. It's a massive plus for them. So
I mean, for us, like we bring a few more away fans at least. So I guess that might.
We get the whole stand, don't we?
Yeah, we should do. We should do.
Yeah.
So maybe that would help us, like, kind of lessen it out. But Villa's got a good home support in general. My biggest problem is still just the game management, if anything, because we see how much we drop off at halftime. Even in the Aston Villa game, we didn't look great in the second half. I feel like it's only been the Forest game, not the Forest game. What's it called? The Middlesbrough game. That's the only game where we've looked good first half and second half. That's why that game stood out to me so much. It's just a good 90-minute performance overall.
Well, you got to think you play the opposition you played against are that poor.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna take even 50% of lads putting in effort for him to make them look good. As soon as you come up against a decent Premier League team in Villa, look how shit we was. Like everyone's getting hyped and gassed about Middlesbrough, our 6-2, 6-1, whatever it was, and we played well for this and that. But they're a very, very poor team. Like Rotherham went there last week and got a point. That goes to show how poor the team is.
Yep.
So we need to start putting performances in against the better teams, not just Middlesbrough and Preston's and this and that and the other. Like just go and play 90 minutes, like you said, Lewis. Great example. First half, we was okay. Could have took our chance to win the game. Come back out second half, the standard drops, and it's happening all the time. It's every single game. It's happening. Every game I've been to, Everton, Newcastle, Man United, every game they go in and they come out even worse. So it's got like everyone keeps repeating, push out, push out. It's the manager that goes through tactics at half time. It's the manager that's going to motivate the players at half time. It's the manager that does all this, and he doesn't seem to be doing it with the players at the minute.
Just want to go and make subs as well, because another constant is late subs. Very late subs.
Like, I wouldn't try and be rational and trying to think of a reasoning behind why it could be. It also could be because our bench is so weak. If you actually think about it, because of the amount of injuries we've had, we haven't even had, for 99% of the season, like a competent 15. It's always been like a decent 11 and like one or two subs. And the reason why that's slightly important for context is because if you play teams who are similar level to you, if not better than you, and the subs you bring on don't improve your team or even compete with the opposition, i.e. Broja or Mudryk, who's quite young, how do you expect the game to change? It won't really change, will it? Because you're bringing on basically players who aren't as good as the starters, or not even as good as starters, don't really compete with the starters, really. Like Mudryk plays.
I think there's truth in both. There's truth in both. Because I agree with what you're saying. I had a feeling that all of the substitutes came on and they didn't contribute at all. And that's individualistic. Do I think as well the manager could have put them a bit early and given them more time to get into the game as well? Yes, but both have truths. So I hear what you're saying. Because to a point, the bench isn't great. To a point, some of the options that we have aren't great. But I also look at it and I'm like, when we're bringing on, what's it called? Chukwuemeka in the 89th minute for Fernandes. Like, what's he meant to do? What's he really? The fact that we're even taking any
I'm not excusing that 100%. That's ridiculous.
No, but I agree with your side as well. It's just points of both.
Yeah, he's making late subs, but at the same time, it's like, man, if you saw what games our last game we played at Villa at home, we brought on. Even if he brought on Carney earlier, who else is he bringing on really?
Mudryk.
So we brought on
Mudryk. That's it.
Mudryk for Matuaki, 77th minute. Broja for Sterling, 77th minute, and Chilwell for Gilchrist, 65th minute.
Yeah, so Carney, I understand because Carney's
the substitutions been good. They're not exactly game changing substitutions, though, aren't they? Even Mudryk, like I just.
But hear me out on this.
More like your expectation of them over output. The more you deep it.
You see, with the subs, right? You see, we're crying out a lot in the second half for game-changing substitutions because we come out flat after half-time 90% of the games, right? The problem I have is that's where I think Poch is showing that he's not getting it right. During the week, that the team selection, you can't play Villa, go false 9, get to the 70th minute and start thinking our only chance of a goal is to bring on Broja and Mudryk. Like, he's already made the mistake there playing a false 9. Cole Palmer has proven already for me in a small amount of games that false 9 just isn't going to be his position, man. And to play Gallagher up front with him is what Poch said. Like, it's just ludicrous. Like, how are you doing that?
Dan, I can't lie to you though. I disagree a little bit.
I
disagree a little bit. I think if we're being rational, the last game we just played, I wouldn't say that's mostly on Poch for that game. For example,
No?
the pressing and the tactics work to a certain degree. This is what happens in football. This is Chelsea Football Club. You might not agree. We play well start of games. Most of the games this season we play well. Every single position. We can all agree, right? Cool.
Yeah.
What happens is in football, in life, if you have opportunities to do things, i.e. in football, if you have opportunities to score and you miss, naturally, heads start to drop, mentality starts to falter. That's just how life works. You can't always get things your own way. And if they don't go your way, sorry?
It's just copy and paste every single week. Like,
so what happens is we don't score, the opposition gets into the game, second half comes out, the manager's telling them, yo, keep going, they're going to foot. We don't take chances in the first half, we probably lose or draw. That's what happened the other day. If Palmer scores those 2 chances open in front of the goal, we're 2-0 up. I don't think we lose that game or draw it.
Against Middlesbrough, same thing.
That's the thing.
This is true though.
I agree, because game management is a problem to me more when we end up losing the game, because now we've just thrown everything away. That's why I didn't really have too much energy towards Poch for his decisions with this one, because we didn't end up losing. So I don't have to actually analyze every single aspect of it. Now, if I look at it, I don't get why we dropped Broja. Like, Palmer's done enough playing deeper to show that that's his best position. I don't think he can't play false 9. But I think we should only be playing him there if we don't have any other option. If there's no striker available, play Palmer. I'll give him a run out. Like, he's had 1 good game against Arsenal, 2 bad ones. I don't think it's enough to completely go off. But benching Broja, like, even in spite of the fact Broja offers absolutely nothing, at least there's a focal point there that you can try and create for, at the very least. With Palmer, you lose some of the creativity because you're pushing him further forward, and now have to rely on Gallagher to create. And we know how that's going to go. It's not going to go well. So that's why I didn't like. Game management subs were a little bit late, but like, we did enough to win the game. Like, Mudryk misses 2 good chances. Palmer misses 2 good chances. Broja, the ball just bounces off him. So, in spite of all of that, like, it was never a great game, and I didn't think it was going to be a great game with the fact that you go from Tuesday to Friday anyway. So, for the most part, I can give Poch the benefit of the doubt on this one. Even if it's still typical Poch with certain situations, like, you're not my primary problem. Mudryk could have buried his chance as we go through to the next round. I don't have to worry about a replay. So, yeah, I kind of hear it. Today's not really the one to be fuming at Poch about.
Yeah, Petrovic has saved Poch there for me on that one, though, because I don't even think defensively we were that good. After 70 minutes, like, we fell off defensively big time. Like, Matty Cash had so much room. When Chilwell come on, like, Matty Cash just had so much space, man. Like, Chile just weren't showing up.
Chilwell looked like he was lost on that left side.
Yeah.
That's typical Chilwell for you, man. He's great going forward. At the back, I don't want him at left side.
That shows Badashile, you know. He kept Matty Cash quiet for a lot of that game. And then when he got moved away from left back, Chilwell come in, was all over the place, like headless chicken, like making runs, not aware of what was behind him. Matty Cash just starts marauding forward. Like, if it weren't for Petrovic and a couple of blocks, I think, from Dazassi at one point.
Watkins had a good chance.
We would have lost. And I think then we would have all been down Poch's throat, because then his game management would be showing up again. I think he got away with one there because of the level that Petrovic showed in the last 20 minutes, which is insane, because his concentration is showing to be like a really high level. Like, his alertness is really, really good, man. He's got some really good strength to his game.
Oh, Petrovic is completely took Sanchez's spot, and
thank
God, Sanchez got injured. Like, bad things happen for good things to fall into place. Sanchez got that injury. Was all like, all a bit worried, but I wasn't worried because I wasn't in favour of him anyway. Petrovic has come in and he's solidified that position 100%. Like, there's no way Sanchez should be starting now. Like, £14 million we signed for him. He hasn't put a foot wrong since he played for us. Not 1 foot wrong.
Well, what I liked the most was he didn't have much to do for about 70 minutes. Game was kind of passing by. There was like 1 or 2 moments in the first half. That was about it. But it was nothing really clear cut. Then he gets called into action in the last 20 minutes. He's alert. He's awake. He's stopping everything. That's the marks of a great goalkeeper, because you need to remain concentrated the whole 90.
Yeah, it does usually
That's
happen.
Alisson, Edison level, man. They're out of the game for a long, long time, and then when they're needed, they're on it. They're switched on. They're sharp. Yeah, he's impressed me a lot. And the thing is, he knows his strengths and he knows his limitations. Like we're not this guy. His distribution ain't at a level to be top like level of a goalkeeper with his feet now. So he just doesn't do it. Whereas Sanchez thinks that his distribution is unbelievable, and he's giving the ball away most of the time.
Sanchez's distributions, it is good, but it's the way the manager's telling us to play. No, it's because he keeps on
long passing. He's had a couple ones. The short passing is his usual problem. Every time it's a short pass.
He keeps on trying to play the same ball all the time, and teams just locking on and finding out the weaknesses.
There's
absolutely... not even short, the ground passes. It's the ground passes.
Yeah.
When he hoops it, it's fine.
There's no
doubt, that our upturn in... I know we don't want to get ahead of ourselves in terms of where we're at form, but the reason we're beating the teams that we should be beating, don't forget, early on in the season, we weren't even winning those games. So the upturn in form is that we're beating these teams. There's absolutely no coincidence. It's since Petrovic's coming to the side, like, we're not making these silly errors, and the defense look a lot more trusting in their setup and how the goalkeeper's going to be behind them. They're assured by him, and he's not going to take risks. Whereas I think with Sanchez, the risk factor just unsettles the whole defense. And then it causes, like we see Thiago Silva taking risks because he didn't want to play it back to Sanchez in goal.
Yeah.
And now it's a lot more assured. And I think defensively is in the last couple of weeks, that's where we've made our biggest improvements. I think we can hold our own defensively, and that's why we're moving up the table. I think we've just got the same problem, clinical in front of goal, man.
Yes. And the fixture list has been favourable.
Good point Van just said.
Good point.
I mentioned a good point. And he said about the defence in general. I want to talk with Petrovic, so I'll talk about other players I want to shout out. Because I know we're on the player segment right now. And Petrovic has been very, very refreshing. He's solid. He looks very like I think Kev said, he's very composed. Like he just looks like he doesn't look emotional in the game. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, like Sanchez looks emotional. In the Arsenal game, he was so emotional. He didn't need to give the ball away like that. Like he
That's why Pep got rid of Joe Hart, man, all them years ago. Joe Hart was just too emotional.
Yeah. It's too much in his head. Like we win the game, we've got to see it out, and he just gave the ball away.
It's calm. It's calm.
Petrovic, so far, let's be honest, guys. Again, rational behaviour. He's small sample size, so we're only judging him on like 10 games. But what we could say, he's been excellent, and he deserves to start over Sanchez 100%.
He has not put a foot wrong.
He hasn't done anything wrong like that, and also he's been helped by the fact that I've actually been really happy with Disasi. I've been really happy with Thiago Silva. And the player in front of them on the shot is Caicedo. So now we've got like a free triangle with the goalkeeper now who constantly play. They play most games now. And those four have just been solid. They haven't made much mistakes. Disasi hasn't made much mistakes. Thiago Silva's been solid most games. I know he played poorly against, I think it was Wolves, which is around Christmas time. And Caicedo has been excellent for the past like month or so.
Oh no, this actually was good against Wolves. It was
Thiago Silva.
It was Badiashile and Silva.
Yeah,
but to be fair, Thiago Silva's kind of picked up over the last year. Bar the Middlesbrough match. The Middlesbrough match was iffy. But everything else, he's been pretty solid.
But yeah, like, I've just been happy with certain players who've like kind of like got into the system a bit more defensively anyway, not attacking, but defensively. And it's showing in our results because we're much more solid. We don't concede as many goals anymore, even if we do lose. And it's just good to see that the players we expect to kind of step up are stepping up. It's a shame our attackers, a lot of them are injured. And
we've got 3 clean sheets this month.
It's solid.
And you know what? Last month. Any defender that Poch decides to put into the starting lineup or short notice change, like the other day, even with Alfie, like coming in after Levi picked up that injury, like they're all understanding of what they've got to be doing. So the defensive coaching and training week in, week out is obviously they're all understanding it. Whereas and they're all at a level which is good enough to fit in and be trustworthy with each other. Whereas and I think that probably comes from Thiago Silva's experience. That's our most experienced area of the pitch, probably defensively, with Chilwell in that list, and then Thiago Silva as well. Probably the coolest headed players in our team as well. When you then look further up the pitch, then when you start bringing in players from the squad, that's where the level is just not at the same. Like I'll be confident whoever plays in defence that we're going to be okay, right? But different names up front, I start getting more and more concerned.
There's 3 or 4 players in that squad that should have been nowhere near that attack. Like we all know. But yeah, you are right. Defensively, that's where we've turned. It's just like we've turned it around. We've gone from being a poor defensive team to a good attacking team, and we're not scoring much goals now. But the defensive has gone a bit more stronger. But it's just down to the goalkeeper. There's no words I can say. It's got to be the keeper because it looks shaky. Before this Petrovic came in, it was shaky. There was so many mistakes was happening through playing at the back and teams locking on, pressing, getting the ball. It's not happening now. Like Petrovic doesn't take no risk. If he needs to hoof it, he'll hoof it. And I don't know why Sanchez wasn't doing the same thing. So yeah, man, defensively we're looking better, but I still think we've got 3 days left of the transfer window. If we don't get another striker in now, like this is probably where we'll finish end of the season.
Take Callum Wilson.
I don't think anyone's coming.
Wilson, yeah.
I'll take Wilson. I would take him still. He can finish.
Broja would have to leave for anything to happen because realistically, it's 2-3 more games and Jackson's back.
Yeah, I'd get rid of Broja for 30 million or get him out on loan and then bring in Wilson.
I don't think Broja goes anywhere, and I think if Broja don't go anywhere, no one comes in.
He's just signed a new contract as well, like last year.
Yeah, but there's not a lot. There's a bit of interest in him, but I don't think Chelsea are pulling the trigger because there's no one else that they could bring in right now. The Benzema rumors have been BS all month. There's no chance of him leaving. Gyökeres ain't happening. Osimhen ain't happening. Tony ain't happening. Wilson, like there's rumors of it, but there's not really anything concrete just yet.
I wouldn't be shocked with Wilson if that happened, but it's just like why is our recruitment team eyeing up an injury-prone striker when we've already got so many injuries in this squad? Do you know what? We can be desperate, yeah, but you'd be better buying a guy who you know can play games and stay fit and maybe chip in with like 3 or 4 to 10 goals, something like in that range, rather than gamble on a player like Callum Wilson, who's capable of more, but he's just going to pick up injuries. You'd rather have a guy that can at least be selected for the squad.
Wilson's injury record is diabolical at Newcastle.
Mate, he's blown both his knees out at Bournemouth.
I would get it if we didn't have any other options, but like realistically, Jackson's already on like 9 games a season, 9 goals already this season. I spoke to Scott about this on my stream. It's like if there's two more games left, bar Liverpool and Villa, and it's Palace and Wolves. We should be able to beat those 2 teams with or without Armando Broja in the team. And after that, Jackson's back. If Jackson had penalties, that guy would be level with Haaland, right? At least like 1 goal behind or 2 goals behind.
Yeah, that's fair too. Yeah, that's quite
See the discussions we'd be having by that point. So he's not doing too bad. I could say
his goal catalogue. It ain't going to be too different to Haaland's, is it?
If Jackson can finish, he'd be up there, one of the best strikers in the world.
Let's not be revisionism and say like he's a prolific. We miss him. I know what you're trying to say.
He's missed hella chances. But the development is at a good enough level. There's progression there, so like, I wouldn't mind letting him keep going. You never know. You could come back off an AFCON trophy and be gassed. Could feed into Wilson's on the pitch.
If in an ideal world, Nkunku stayed fit, I wouldn't really want Wilson, would I? Because then we have Nkunku, Jackson, and Broja, who could play as a 9. So we're all saying this because we don't trust our attackers, isn't it? Like we don't trust Nkunku to stay fit. If we knew
Alan Wilson in this Chelsea team, probably be injured before the first game.
Yeah. He'd come injured, man. He'd sign injured like we've done with everyone else.
He'd get injured during the medical.
Callum Wilson
definitely get injured.
He's not playing more than 5 games for us at the end of the season. Put it like that.
We're sitting there like, how are we going to get rid of him now?
If Newcastle can't get him fit, we are certainly not getting him fit. We've got 13 players that. We've had 13 players that are injured for 2 years. So how the hell are we going to get?
You can't get rid of Broja. Basically, don't get no one in.
You'd have to sign him on a pay-to-play basis, man. Then we'd actually do ourselves a favour with FFP as well. Like, because if he ain't fit to play, you don't pay his wages. Like, we've had a couple of players in the past be on contracts like that. Like, Demba Ba, I believe, was on a pay-to-play.
It
failed his medicals, didn't it? He had a nail in his knee and failed his medicals.
These injuries, man.
Wow.
These injuries is getting on nerves. every single time play a match, I'm seeing like our team. I'm thinking this isn't even our team. Carney's out. If Carney's in, Enzo's out. If Enzo's in, Gusto's out. When do we? I hope for the Carabao Cup game, we've at least got a left back, right back, natural left back and right back, and then Cuckoo, and the same team we have now. Then I'll be like, we can confident we can win. But I'm telling you now, if we have the Sassy as right back, he's not a bad player, but we're not going to win. If we have Gallagher playing,
Luis Diaz is just going to absolutely turn him over.
Bro.
That side. Diego Jota was all going into the little gaps as well. They won't have a clue what's going on.
Bro, imagine Enzo picks up a knock. We play Gallagher in the 6. It's game over. When you see that, you've already lost. Like that's the same. It'll be so disappointing. But if we just put out our 11 and we lose and we play well, whatever is tight, I can hold that. But if we like have an injured squad again for another final, it's just a bit depressing.
It's bad.
You just don't know who. Like we've been in the dark with quite a few injuries now. Like the club aren't really releasing much, which makes me think that they're out for a long time. These players they ain't talking about, or it's just indefinite, right? Or they're going to go for surgery and they're waiting for dates and things like that.
We just don't know.
What?
Lavia came back for like.
There's a reason that we've recalled Caicedo and Santos hasn't gone out on loan yet because you can't even. We don't even know if Lavia's going to play more than 20 minutes in a Chelsea shirt.
He joined in summer and he's played 10 minutes.
No, he played about 30 minutes of that game. Who was it against?
Mate, he played 10 minutes of it with a limp.
Newcastle.
Limp,
I don't think it was 30 minutes. Oh, it was 30 minutes.
It was like 30 minutes. Newcastle in the cup.
He was done, mate. After about 20 minutes in that game, he was limping round. He wasn't at it. Like he played well for a little bit of that cameo.
20 minutes against Wolves. Scored a goal.
Played against Newcastle.
Yeah, played about 15 minutes against Newcastle. Got injured again.
That's it. I know what it's Poch's training methods. This Poch guy, he better get it right. It
has to be. I've heard the same thing with him at Tottenham.
Lewis, it has to be. It's his training methods. How is so many men getting injured? Even last year we had injuries, but it weren't like.
But it did happen before.
Last year was different. Like we didn't train enough. Paul would have 2 days off after every game.
Yeah, the energy levels were low.
But then I can't tell because I feel like different players work in different ways. Like I just listened to John Obi Mikel on Rio Ferdinand's pod talk about Hazard. He was like, Hazard would come into training every day, literally would barely train. He'd tell Jose, Conte, John Terry, like, leave me alone. And then would just come in and drop a 10 out of 10. Then he said he went to Real Madrid. He actually thought, all right, you know what? It's Real Madrid. Let me be serious. Let me fix up a little bit. Hella injuries. Never recovered. So, like, I don't know. Maybe different players.
Some players, it's down to some players are just naturally fit.
Yeah,
like you got to look at typical example, Ramirez as well.
That's probably why he loves Gallagher.
Yeah, the Gallagher naturally fit. Sterling naturally fit. Like it's just down to your genetics.
Sterling's actually a mad one, you know. Sterling was picking up quite a few injuries in his early days under Brendan Rodgers at Liverpool, and the scientists come in like to assess what was going on, and they realised that like Sterling needs, because of the way his muscle fibers are, extra days in terms of his fiber recovery, and that's like Sterling's carried that on throughout the rest of his career, and he's been able to like manage his time and recovery and that off the pitch so that he can maximize game time. So it's little things like that. Like you don't know whether or not that's going on with every player, but I think we're seeing a trend at Chelsea that the players that are spending far more time in the gym and that are way more muscle bound and almost too heavy for their frame are the players that are struggling to get back in this Pochettino system. Pochettino's system suits your lightweight runners who are stamina strength players. Do you know what I mean? Like their strongest point to their game is their ability to be durable for a longer period of time. And that's the players that Poch holds in the highest esteem. If you look at his teams throughout the years, they're the players that have been Poch's best players. Even like at Southampton, even at early Spurs days, it was the players that could just keep going and going and going to drag Poch through the season.
Yeah.
They're the players that he favors.
Players like that could just run for years.
That's it.
I feel like that. Yeah, that makes sense because the likes of Mudryk and Mudryk weren't getting any sorts of game time at the start of the season because they didn't have the defensive work rate in them. They weren't keeping going for a full 90. Mudryk started adding that to his game. I think Mudryk started a little bit, but like I can't really tell from the last few games. I just remember improved a little bit around December-ish time, but he never gets a consistent run of games, so I can't tell.
He don't earn it though. Let's be fair, Lewis. Like, very rarely does he earn that.
Yeah.
It is
It's one game a week is killer, but you haven't done anything to justify it. Sterling
the guy doesn't deserve to start no games. I like him a lot, by the way. He's just when we watch him play, Poch is probably seeing it even worse in training. He's probably like he's good at times.
I think he's shit hot in training, mate. I see them videos of Mudryk in training. He looks unbelievable, mate. He could be the best finisher in training week in, week out. But some players just can't seem to take it from the training ground to the pitch in this Chelsea side. Like there's a few
I like
players
to feel like development isn't linear, which I think earns him a little bit of time with all the stuff that's been going on this year as well. The change in managers, the lack of consistent game time, no Europe for half the season, which is a lot less game time to go around as well. He hasn't really moved the needle either. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for Mudryk. He ain't been good.
You can go deeper with Mudryk as well. There's a lot of things that have happened in his life that 90% of us will never have to deal with, right? So it's a big change for a young guy as well. What is he, 22? Like he's so
23.
young, and he was made as like
it's not so young. I just think the Mudryk situation is
21, 22 years old,
23.
Yeah, but at 21, 22. He was like made to be this, like the star boy of Ukraine, this country at war that needed him, right, to move to generate like.
Dan. The problem is that
so how can you deal with that as a 21, 22-year-old guy? Like, so
I hear what you're saying.
To add to Mudryk. So, like, look, I'm not going to sit here and be like he hasn't been good enough, right? He's not at Chelsea's level, but like none of us can even really begin to understand what he's been dealing with as well. So I'm not going to get on his back. I just think it's fair enough for all of us to say, and he'd admit it as well, he hasn't been good enough. He hasn't got to the debut level that he set in that Liverpool game again.
Yeah, you're so right. Like, obviously, he's not been good and stuff like that. But the thing we'll say is that, this is a Chelsea fan, the higher standards. That football's not based on sympathy. So we could have a case for every player going, "Oh, Lavia, you got injured. Sorry, man. What's happened?" But at the end of the day, you're not playing football. So at some point, we've got to go, yo, you're very injury prone. As much as you might be a nice guy and you might be from this country or this country. As
much as Mudryk's been through a lot, it's been through a lot. Like
everyone goes through stuff.
I'm trying to, like, what Dan said, spot on. Right? Yeah. Obviously, if any of us had to leave our family, say, for instance, my family from Jamaica, I lived in Jamaica and I had to leave a war-torn Jamaica, leave my family to come to England to play football. Of course, it's going to play on your mind. Of course, it is. But in the same sense, it's been a year down the line, like, and we've seen zero improvement. So, like you said, it's a performance-based game. All the stuff that goes on out of football, you got to kind of like leave it. When you get on that football field, that's your release. That's the way you should ball out. And he's not doing it. Like, I see him just running in the straight line every game, just running the straight line. Like, there's
look at Diaz.
There's no skill.
Diaz was kidnapped and he still scored a winning goal.
There you go. Yeah, Diaz went through worse than anyone could go through.
He scored a winning goal and his dad wasn't even found yet. Imagine
his dad and his mum. His dad and his mum at one point.
Both at that point weren't found.
And he banged up against Diaz.
Although, to be fair, his form did drop off a cliff in the next month or two. Of course,
but like, on that game he came in, he scored. I think Klopp was like,
like what Kev said, that was his release that day.
It's mentality. It's mentality. Look at Lampard. His mum died. His mum died 2-3 days, and he stepped up, bang, scored a penalty because it's in here. Some play like Mudryk. He's got to.
Some players have got it. Some players don't.
Yeah, you can't just blame what's going on. Everyone goes through shit in life. You got to get, when you step across that white line. That's the way you release all that shit.
The reason that Chelsea fans have patience for Mudryk, though. I think that's why players like Sterling, right? Chelsea fans have the lowest threshold of patience for a player like Raheem Sterling because he's obviously shown that he can do better than what he does really in a Chelsea shirt. And the fact that he waves his hands up quicker than anyone else to like throw arms and get fed up and things like that. And I think that's why, like, Chelsea fans get on Raheem Sterling's back because they don't have any sympathy towards his outside situation. The guy is raking in the most money at the club and 9 times out of 10, you don't know what Raheem Sterling.
And the fans never liked him in general while he was a rival too.
True. But I do think Raheem Sterling could have come into Chelsea, and if he'd set the world alight, the fans would have backed him, because as a club, that's what we do. Very rarely do we.
I don't know. I'll be real. For me being in that concourse all of last season, Mount Havertz would stink up the pitch on a weekly basis, and they just vent about Sterling.
Yeah, Havertz was
even this season, I've seen games like West Ham, like games like Liverpool, where Sterling's been our best player, and he's still getting ripped in the away end. If you were blind in that West Ham away end, you'd think he was the worst player on the pitch. The way everyone was ripping into him specifically.
I was there as well. Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
I was like, what? That's the only one driving the ball forward.
Sterling gets a lot of hate. And I think the majority of it's down to him being an ex-Liverpool and City player. That's it. And his expectancy is so high. We expect too much from him because he's been there, done it. He's played at a high level. So when he comes and he puts in shit performances week in, week out, of course we're going to jump on his back. With Mudryk, it's different because he's a player who's based on potential. Like, we haven't seen the best of Mudryk yet. So we're not going to jump on his back.
It reminds me of Mudryk is more like your Werner and Torres situation, where like we never stop believing. If we actually look with our eyes, it was never good enough. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what Mudryk reminds me of. But I think you're right, Kev. Sterling, in our eyes, the standards were so high. This is a guy coming from the team that were like the best in England, right? And he was being linked with the best clubs in Europe. And then we managed to get him. And then the standard just, I don't think he's ever really met the levels that we as Chelsea fans expected him to.
Yeah, so that's
that
why
probably showed how much of a system player he was in that Manchester City side.
Oh mate, he had the ball put on a silver platter for him every single game. When you've come from a team where you started off playing with Yaya Toure, David Silva, and then all of a sudden you had Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, like within an instant. So the ball was getting put to him on the plate. He was never ever dragging City through games. He's not that kind of player. Sterling, you want in and around the box, and he's not been given that job to. I think we expect too much. We expect him to do the tracking back and the dirty work. It's never been Sterling's game. So that's the reason why we get on his back. Like, I see fans, he's fucking lazy, he doesn't run back, this and that. That's not Sterling's game. He wasn't that. He's never been that kind of player.
Yeah, that's true. That's the shout, isn't it? That's the shout that comes from the stands, is the laziness. That's the one. Everyone gets on Sterling's back for that. Whether or not that's true, I don't really know. I probably don't think it is. I think the energy he exerts going forward is probably more than some of the other players we have going forward. Like Lewis said, how many times is Raheem Sterling the one coming and getting on the ball and driving us forward, or attempting to take on a man, or trying to work out how to get back on the ball to have a better chance of creating an attack? I think that's what Sterling's been really good at, and I think that is overlooked too many times with Sterling at Chelsea. I think he's been arguably in a lot of our games our best player and shown his experience. But you did say, we were obviously talking about January and stuff like that, about incomings. Like, outgoings is something I think could actually happen in terms of like the next couple of days. Lewis, you're obviously probably over the moon seeing that figure for Gallagher could be like 80 mil. Like, are we taking that if that happens?
Oh, if that was true, yes, every day. I'd be fuming at our board if they didn't do that, but I don't believe it.
The guys that are worth half of that. Let's be truthfully honest. He's not worth.
I don't know.
I wish.
It's not worth 40. You'd be taking 50 for Connor.
Yeah,
I think he'd go for a similar amount. Like, I could see him go for around 55 million, same as Mount, but I don't nowhere near 80. I don't even think he goes this window. I think Tottenham may be looking at him in the summer, but they don't need depth in midfield right now. If anything, they probably need some more players up top.
We actually need him as well.
We need Gallagher. We need Gallagher not even this season and next season. I think Gallagher is a brilliant squad player. I just don't think he's got the quality to be a starter for us. I don't, like you said, Lewis keeps saying, I've said it with my own eyes, technically, he's not the best player, but in a game against Liverpool like on Wednesday, where you want someone to just do the dirty work, run, put a foot in and grind and graft, that's the player you need. And you need that. You need them players in your team.
100%, mate.
Yeah, he plays with his heart. So for us to get rid of him now would be the most stupidest thing ever. Like, I just don't, especially when there's 3 days left in the window. Like, just there's no way he's going, no chance whatsoever.
Do we believe the rumors about him asking for 150k a week?
Yeah, all day. 100%. Yeah,
views
of
is high,
course he
so
would have.
That's
Do you know
crazy.
why? Because like this is the same that happened with every other
Man.
homegrown player that Chelsea have
Man.
bought through in recent years. They're asking for absurd amounts of money in terms of their wage packet because they know they can go to another club and get it. They know they can go to United and get like 200. They know they can go over to Arsenal and get a decent sized bag. Like, of course they're asking for that because they want to stay at Chelsea. But if Chelsea aren't going to pay it under the new ownership because we don't structure our wages like that, they're just going to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like they are. But
Says
I think
more about him.
Connor's probably the only one I think that would want to stay. Like out of all of them, I feel like Chelsea is his club through and through. Like his family's club, his club. Like, mate, I think Levi would go if the right club and money come in.
He's already signed a new contract though, isn't he? So he's
I think Connor would go as well. He's a London guy. He'll go
Really?
Tottenham
I'm
easily.
not sure.
I
Man.
think he'd go Tottenham in a heartbeat. If Andrew's like, I'll play you in and around with Sarr and them, man, he would definitely go. But in terms of
Push
him
comes to sub, I could see it.
yeah, 100%.
Really?
In terms of him leaving, he would only ever leave if he felt like disrespected or like if we kicked him out the club, i.e. Lavio got fit, Carney got really fit. And he wasn't really playing.
Because we got to remember, we said the same thing about Mount a year ago.
That's what I was
Like,
just
the
about
money
to say.
talk.
Exactly, he'll leave.
That's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be the same situation as Mount.
Same thing.
100%.
We'll end up kicking him out basically, and then Mount
it's not even a disrespectful thing. It's just
like you got to leave.
The way structure, what these owners are set up is not suited. Like, if the players don't want to jump on board with these 7-8 year contracts, they've got to go, isn't they? That's what it is. It's like they're getting all the money in, but they're paying them over a longer period of time, and that's how it is. It's just how it is, and Mate didn't want to do that. So
I think if you build Chelsea's strongest 11, like if all our players are fit, Connor's never getting in that for me, like in terms of technical ability and what he sort of offers. But I also think that with Connor, he's the type of player that you can't put a price on how much he loves the club, fights for the club, plays for the badge. It's all with his heart, like you said, Kev. And I also don't think you can put a price on his durability. I think durability is something that's overlooked on transfer fees so much in this modern game, but it's actually one of the most essential things if you're looking to recruit players. So many games of football are played. So many players are proving that their bodies can't live up to the amount of games that have to be played, to the intensity that English football has. And Conor Gallagher is proving in the seasons that he's been playing at the top level that he can do that. And I think that's where you start to actually command the fee, because if you sort of look at that 80 million spread over, if you're a team playing 50, 60 games a season, actually, if he plays like 50 games in a season, all of a sudden 80 mil doesn't look too bad if he does that for 5 years. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's where that fee gets driven up. We can't just dip into the transfer market and replace that, especially in 3 days and definitely in like 1 or 2 years. And Joe Cole was saying a very similar sort of thing. Like, you can't replace Conor Gallagher even if you get 100 million for him, because, like, yes, you can get a better player in terms of technical ability, but you can't guarantee that they don't have the other side of the game. Like, that's where I think recruitment people need to be going looking, is like, first and foremost is how often is this asset that we're going to buy be available? Because I reckon most of our signings, they haven't done their due diligence on how often a player's been available or like their history of injuries.
Lava before we bought him, he had a terrible record in, last season for Southampton. And Kinky had a terrible record.
What I'm injured, to be fair.
The list goes on and on and on and on and on. But we're buying these players because
failed his Bournemouth medical.
Yeah, we're buying these players just because of the quality, but we're not doing our due diligence in regards to fitness and runner games, and that's what football should be based on. These players we're getting are not fit. So Conor Gallagher is priceless. If you ask me, Conor Gallagher is priceless. Okay, like you keep after going on about. Technically, he's not the best, but if you want a man, he's always going to be there for you every week, even when the team's shit. He's going to give you 100%. Conor Gallagher's the guy. So for me personally, if you want 250 grand a week, give it him and keep him in the team, because look at our midfield. He's falling to bits. He's there every single week, 90 minutes, and he's even the last 10 minutes of the game, the guy is still running. Like, he can't buy it.
I think the problem with Con, right, is that if Conor Gallagher, this is what I think Liverpool had with Klopp and Henderson, is like, if Henderson plays, the 9 other outfield players have to be of like an elite level and be turning up every game, because for what you lose in that type of player where they're all legs, you kind of lose that bit of quality. So like the 9 other players have to be of an amazing level and be able to carry the team through. Like Mane, Salah, Firmino, they could all step up when it was needed. They had more creative players in the midfield, and the defense was elite, that Liverpool side. I think Connor fits a similar mold to your Jordan Henderson, where you have him in the side to do the dirty work for the elite players. And I think
Because they
that's
don't
why
create
I'd
from the
rather him
midfield,
stay.
they push them wide.
Who? Sorry?
Liverpool. All you got to do is break up
Hendo
play and
used
push
to
it
get
wide
pushed
for
out.
Trent or something.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But I also feel like if you can get the balance right out of 3 players in the midfield, you can probably then sort of be able to exclude Connor from our best 11. I think that is a possibility, because I think Caicedo, like Ches was saying earlier on, he's made massive improvements for me defensively in the solidarity of his game, and his defensive decision making for me is what's improved so much this first part of the so from the beginning of the season till now. I think that's where he's improved the most for me. It's like it's very quick, sharp, 5-10 yard passes, one touch that are getting him out of trouble, getting the team out of trouble. He's starting to show his press resistance that he showed from Brighton last season, that I don't think he was showing early doors, because I don't think the team really understood what his game was about.
It never was going to happen so soon. And this is the thing, like when you completely change your midfield, completely change everybody in that field, it's going to take a while for him to click. Say if he came into a team and he had Kovacic and Jorginho next to him, probably would have found that his performances would have been at a higher level at the start. But it's
Don't
coming
forget
in.
he got rushed into the team with barely any preseason.
No preseason. No preseason. The managers knew, all the players around him knew. So what were we expecting? Was we expecting him to come in and start smashing things straight away? No. Like, but from what I said to Caicedo last year for Brighton, I knew he was going to come good. Like, your performances don't become bad overnight. There's always reasons behind it, and I think he just needed time to gel into the team, and now he's gelling in. Look now, like his performance against Villa is probably the best performance had in the blue shirt. If you ask me, he was all over the place.
That's why we can wrap up soon. That's why I'm happy to see our next few games, to see players like Petrovic, Caicedo, even Disasi. I want to see how they step up against these massive 5 games. I know Lewis said we've got a mixed bag. We've got Wolves and we've got Crystal Palace away. But at the same time, they're games we have to win, because we've got like the final and we've got Man City away. So like all these games are must-win games. So it'd be good to see how these players step up and continue to see their form. So I'm excited to see that. And obviously Nkunku and Gusto are training now. That adds a massive booster to our attack and the balance in our team. So overall, we've got more positives to think about than negatives, I would probably say. And we just hope that Poch can learn from his previous mistakes prior to this good running form, and just improve the team, man. We want to see players.
Just get a number 9 right now. Just get.
If you don't get number 9, just trust in Nkunku, but don't play him too much.
Yeah.
Just manage the squad better. I think that's what you all agree with on the pod so far. Is like just manage the squad.
Exactly. If his game management is perfect over the full 90, then fine. Like then we're looking less at
really much. It's just because the games we're losing and drawing is like he could have done better, even though we've got loads of injuries and stuff. It's just like
because these players are inexperienced, but Poch ain't the inexperienced one. That's why I look at him on a different lens to everyone else.
Yeah, 100%. And he's managed the egos as well. Do you know what I mean? So he's got experience across the board with our squad. He's got experience with the experienced players, experience with the bringing younger players through. I think Pochettino and any manager of Chelsea shouldn't be giving the board any ammunition, and his poor game management at times this season is unneeded ammunition against his name. It's just not needed, because as soon as other things start to go wrong or results, we hit a dodgy patch or something like that, or things become questionable, having poor game management as extra ammunition
makes it worse.
Or failing to maintain your squad through training because you can't control who's exerting themselves too much, or your training sessions aren't being managed in terms of caring for the players' fitness and who's being excluded and who isn't. That's just extra ammunition that Poch don't need, because I don't think Poch's name is big enough to have enough credit in the bank to defend himself from those sort of like accusations, if you like,
Literally
because
not.
Poch
Nope.
is not at the top level of managers, and that's why I think this Carabao Cup final is essential for him and his relationship with the
Has to
Chelsea
win.
fans and board.
Yeah.
I think he has to win. I don't
If you
care
can't-
who's
There's no
available.
reason
by
to
the way.
lose.
He has to
Because-
at least coach a win. He has to at least coach a win.
Exactly, Lewis. That's it. He has to coach a 90-minute win, or it just has to be perfect. That's his whole career, right?
That's what it is. That's what it is. Like I kind of come up with. We've seen Chelsea play the same way all through the season, all up until the last. Since Petrovic has come into it, it's kind of changed a bit. We're playing that play at the back football every single week, and it wasn't working for us. Corner kicks, we was conceding too many goals, and now we're not. So I think Petrovic has been one of the main reasons why it has changed. But we never seem to go into a game with a plan to beat the opposition. It's always the same kind of football every week. As in, a Thomas Tuchel would change up every single week. He'd go with a back five one week, he'd go with a back four the week after. He'd play two attacking midfield. Each game, he'd try and look for the weakness in the opposing team. Pochettino has only got one way, and it's just passing at the back, passing backwards, passing sideways. Against Middlesbrough at home, when we scored 6 goals, something clicked. We started taking risks. Palmer was passing balls into positions where we could get in behind them, let's say. Sterling was getting in behind them, and we kind of took it into the Villa game in the first half. Can we continue just to carry on playing that way? Can we try and play against Liverpool? We all know Robertson and Trent like to push up height the field. Can we get a Mudryk up running in behind them? Can we just try and change it up rather than playing the same football every single week? And that's what it comes down to Pochettino. Is he good enough tactically to set this team forward? Right now, as it stands, I don't think he is.
Nah, I'm with you as well. Right now, I still don't have a lot of faith in him, even in spite of the results that we've had. But he's probably getting till the end of the season. If we win the Carabao Cup, hopefully he will get till the end of the season, which I don't mind that being a consequence. Regardless, I just want to win and I just want the team to be successful. But we have to see. We really have to see with this guy. I think the next few games are going to give us a much better scope of where he's at. Please just keep the run going. I hope the next time we're here, we haven't lost a game.
And we
At
just
the very least, back to square
Stamford
one.
Bridge, by the way, we're turning Stamford Bridge into what it used to be. Like we're 10 games unbeaten now at Stamford Bridge, which is huge. Like there was a time under Lampard and under Potter that Stamford Bridge, we were weaker there than we were away from home. So it feels like we're starting to improve how or teams are starting to be probably more fearful about coming to the bridge and being less confident about coming away with something. And I think that's huge because that will then allow the team to start building that type of mentality that we've seen for years at Stamford Bridge in previous teams gone by. I think I would like to see one last thing on Poch is I would like to see what he could do if he was given the striker of his choice. Because I feel like Pochettino's system has always, no matter where he's been so reliant on his number 9. And I feel like at Chelsea, he still hasn't been given that. Like I would even go as far to say that Nkunku wasn't.
You know what that says? You know what that just says to me? And like this is the thing that worries me about us getting that number 9. Just feels like papers over the cracks. Like, you know what it feels like if we get that number 9? I feel like we'd have the exact same story of games, except you might have a number 9 that bails you out with a little goal here or there. But then I'm thinking, is that convincing? Is that sustainable? You're just relying on your number 9 to bail you out. Because right now, I don't look at it as a case. Because don't change the game management, the set piece issues, the injuries. I don't know if it does that. You just have an extra goal.
I think that is the question.
It papers over the cracks. It papers over the cracks.
It's just we'll take it because that will just get us to at least a top 4 argument.
Yeah, I don't see him as like a 5-year manager plan. So like, I don't know about you, man, but I don't see him as that. So for me, a lot of these games you've lost, I would say a large percentage of them was because you haven't got a striker. Always tactics, bit of both. So if you had a striker, for example, Luce, you're right, maybe we'd have a few more wins.
Okay, let's go back to when he had his most prolific striker, it's Harry Kane. Right? So Harry Kane, he did exactly what Lewis is saying. Harry Kane
not saying he papered
over the cracks.
I wouldn't say he papered over the cracks at Spurs because the tactics were a lot more effective then. But Mbappe at PSG was papering over his cracks massively. He was saving his ass.
That team was like, considering he had Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe, and some games, Messi used to look over like, what the fuck is this guy on about? Like, what are the tactics? What are we doing here?
Used to push him back into midfield. I saw accounts saying he played DM at one point. You'd have Neymar playing wing back.
Oh, Verratti was a 10, and Danilo Pereira played like right centre back of a 3.
Kimpembe left back, centre back at left back. Have you heard that one
the
before?
Poch, and it's like no one can tell you what he was trying to do with that team.
He hasn't got a clue.
No, facts.
Yeah, like
are his tactics more suited to English football? I don't know.
It's literally right now. He's hanging on. He's hanging like
he's got to get out of jail free card.
Let's just see what he does next few games. That's what we're gonna say. Let's see next few games.
That's true, Ches. Big run-in actually, because
let's just see.
I feel like the team going into this run of games that we had as a sort of reverse earlier on in the season is more aware of what the squad and the team should look like and aware of who they're playing on the pitch with. You know, like earlier on in the season, it was a brand new squad. Now they got 6 months of playing together or 5 months of playing together. They're going into this tough running where we've got Liverpool, City, Villa, Spurs. I think we've probably got other teams just on the horizon after that as well that are challenging, where we probably didn't do as good as we should have done. Like we bottled that Arsenal game. We could have probably done better against City than just getting the draw. Spurs, we weren't great against 9 men for so long, like Lewis said earlier on. Now it's about seeing, are we better in these games 5 months down the line? This is where we're going to see, Ches, like you said, has made improvement, man.
Yeah, you're right. Because, like you said, the big teams played against, we've been unlucky not to get 3 points in most of them. But now we're looking at the other side of it. How much have we come on since them games? And Liverpool Wednesday is the benchmark now. We go there, if we go there and even if we lose, and I can see that the intent is there to pass the ball forward. We're not making defensive errors. On corner kicks, we're looking a bit more aware, more sharp. We've improved. But if it's the same shit that we've been witnessing all through the year, it's Pochettino, because it's down to him to set the team up and to embed a mentality. And it's all down to him. So obviously now, this Liverpool game is massive. It's a massive game to see how far we've come from the start of the season.
You know what it is? On the touch on everyone said, it's crunch time. It's the end of the season as a final stretch.
Yeah.
This is if you've made mistakes in the past, this is your perfect opportunity. Everyone gets second chances in life. He's getting a second chance now in the season to turn it around, win us a Carabao Cup, get us a respectable finish, which should be minimum top 4, but in our case should be 6th for me. I think that's realistic.
I'll be up in top 8.
At least, even top 8, ridiculous as it sounds. 8, and just push on in the in development of the players. If we see that, people will still want him gone, but we could be like, you have a respectable season.
It's not even that. Like, it's like we just got to see improvement, and the performances this season have been that bad. Like the mistakes in the corners, we keep repeating ourselves every week with the stuff that we have to see. Just can we see better patterns of play? Can we see the team passing the ball forward? Even if we lose certain games, and if we sit in there, we can say, you know what, we've improved. Guaranteed, we won't get a Posh's back. But if we carry on witnessing what we've seen, it's the same shit, isn't it?
I think that's bang on, Kev. Like if we as Chelsea fans, most of us who have got our heads screwed on, if we can see Poch is making improvements and the squad are getting better under him, we will believe in him that he's doing the right thing. If we get to the end of the season, even if, say, we finish 4th, right, with Poch, but we scraped it there and we showed no improvement and we got loads of lucky wins, all of us would still want him out. But say we finish, like, this is a tough one for me, but I'd always rather finish higher in the league. But say we were to finish 6th, get Europa League, but we made huge improvements, going into next season, we'd all feel a lot more confident what we could do next season. I know we wouldn't want to throw away and say no to Champions League, right? But I'm talking about in terms of how we'd feel and believe in the manager. Like, would you rather believe in the manager and see evidence of change, or finish in the Champions League and then beg that we
do the same shit every week,
scrape through next season as well, how we scraped into that position in the league? Like, I'd rather be able to see evidence and proof that the manager's getting better and the squad are improving and that we're heading in the right direction, like Arteta was showing at Arsenal, and like Klopp did when he come into Liverpool those years ago. Like they didn't just hit the ground running straight away. The improvements came slowly, then they improved. But like I think people are hyping up Klopp and what he's actually ended up achieving in those 9 years at Liverpool. So I think Chelsea as a club should always aim to do better than that anyway. And that's the where I worry with Pochettino is like, what level of Poch is acceptable for us as Chelsea fans? Because we're a club that wins trophies every single season when we're at it. Like very rarely, even in a season that's a blip, like our second worst ever season is still better than Spurs' one of their best in recent memory.
Yeah.
Got to jam the FA Cup in it. I hear it.
Yeah,
Because that's what we're about. Just win trophies in spite of the way that we play. That's why, at the very least, if Poch could do anything that's Chelsea-like, you could win this trophy. Don't please,
100%.
like when we go to the final, do not tell them to just enjoy the occasion and be happy to be here and all of that. Because I know he's capable of. He already said that in the semi.
That's Spurs mentality. That's Spurs mentality.
You know he's gonna say that.
That's
I
Spurs
already
mentality.
know he's gonna say it.
Listen, we're going to win. That's it. Nothing less. This is what it's about. It's either win or you don't.
Finals aren't there to enjoy. It's there to win. This guy says enjoy them.
That's true.
And that's the mentality.
True.
The mentality. And this is an example I come up with. I was talking to Alex the other day, and this example I come up with when Unai Emery took over Villa. Look at the mentality of that team. There was a bottom three relegation-bound team, and look when Unai Emery come in. They finish in the top 8, and look where they are now in the top 3. And he's only made a couple of changes to the team. You know what I'm trying to say? It's the way he sets up the team. It's down to the manager. Everything is down to the manager, not the players. It's the manager. Simple as that. So let's hopefully he gets the mentality right for us to crack on and move forward in the money part of the season.
Yeah, that is a great point, to be fair, about what Unai's done at Villa, by the way, Kev. That's spot on. Like, you have that squad that's like, all right, it's changed a bit now, but when he started moving them last year, I think they were second in the form table from when he took over to the end of the season. Right.
Yep.
And he pretty
there
much
was a point where they were like 7 points behind us with Potter, and then they ends up about 10, 15 points clear of us by the end of the season.
They already signed Moreno in January, that left back. That's all they signed. And they went from bottom 3 to top 8 in that period. So
that's pure shift in mentality,
manager
attitude at training and the club and stuff like that.
Training, the way the players he puts out in the pitch, everything comes from the manager. And obviously it's the same with Posh. Guaranteed, if you've got another manager in, if you got Unai Emery into this Chelsea team, guaranteed you see a different mentality. It's down to the manager.
Right, so let's just hope he changes things around in the next few weeks, and hopefully we can come back here and say things have actually changed for a positive for the first time in ages. But we'll have to wait and see. Big up to everybody that's locked in, though. It has been another brilliant episode of Blue Balls. 30th episode going. See you on for the next one. Big up to everybody that's locked in. Hit the like button, subscribe, and all of that. And we will see you very soon. Probably see you at a game sometime in the next week or two. Up the Chelsea.